Now the variance is the sum of the squared deviations divided by the number of scores I have, if these scores represent the entire population. Actually, I need to go down to this one to do that one. So we have 12, and it'll be 12 divided by 7 if it's a population. But let's go ahead and do this by using a function. I'll put an equal sign, then VAR, that means the variance, and I put a P because it's for the entire population. That means these are the only numbers we care about, these 7. I'll put a close or an opening parenthesis, B2 colon B10, whoops, B10, end of parenthesis, and now I'll hit enter. And I get 1.714286. Let's see if this is really 12 divided by 7. Well, I'll go over here and I'll say equal 12 divided by 7 equals, yep, that's exactly the same number. Let's try the variance, this variance. This is the variance if all you have is a sample. So we're trying to find out the variance of the entire population based only on a few numbers that are our sample. Could be a large number of numbers, but they're only a sample. They're not all the numbers in the population. So let's see what we get when we do that. We'll press equal. We'll type in the magic word VAR, tell it where our data are, B2 colon, whoops, B2 colon, B10, end of parenthesis, and I'll hit enter, and that ends up to be 2. Now I'm not sure if you're this far yet in your reading, but all this is the sum of squares divided by the number of numbers we have minus 1. So what we have is the sum of squares is 12. So I put in 12 divided by, and then it's the number of numbers we have minus 1. So I'll put, we have 7 numbers minus 1. I'll close that and go like that, and you see I get the same number, 2. So 2 is a variance. And you don't need to know this, although conceptually you should know this formula for statistics. But to use Excel, you don't need to do it. All you need to know is equal, VAR, tell it where your data are, and it gives you the answer. Standard deviation is the square root of your variance, and you should know that by the time you finish this course, definitely. But all we need to do it in Excel is STDEV, left parenthesis, B2 colon B10, and this should be the standard deviation based on a sample. If I wanted the standard deviation based on a population, I'd put equal STDEV and then put a P after it, and then a left parenthesis B2 colon B10, end of parenthesis, and hit enter. The average deviation, this is the average of the absolute value of deviations from the mean. And it's also something that we don't use that very often in statistics, but you will learn about it in this course. So we just put equal sign AVE DEV, left parenthesis, B2 colon B10, end of parenthesis, hit enter. That's it. A skew, maybe you know what that is by now. It's either positive, negative, or 0, and this will tell us how skewed our data are and the direction. So this is skew, B2 colon, whoops, B2 colon, B10, end of parenthesis, hit enter. And in this case, our data is not skewed at all. So we end up with a 0. If we ended up with a negative number, that would mean it was negatively skewed. And the further the number is from 0, the more skewed it is. Let's try kurtosis. This time I'm going to forget to put in the equal sign. I'll go K-E-R-T. This is a mistake, but I'm doing it on purpose just to show you. Left parenthesis, whoops, left parenthesis, B2 colon B10. Now what happens? Well, it just types it. It doesn't do anything. because I didn't tell it to do anything because I didn't put in an equal sign. So I'll go back up here, and rather than type in the whole thing, I'll just go up here to the formula bar, click in front, and add my equal sign, press enter, and it tells me that in this case it's got a negative kurtosis. That is, it's platykurtic. It's not as nicely rounded at the top as a normal curve. It's flatter on the top. To do something called the box whiskers plot, you need to know the highest number and you need to know the lowest number, also to calculate the range. To do this in Excel, all you do is put equal sign. Max tells you the highest value in your data. And B2, B10, end of parenthesis, hit enter. And it'll also tell you the lowest number, which is minimum, or min. And this is B2, B10, end of parenthesis, and hit enter. So that is how you do single argument statistical functions in Excel. It's pretty easy. All you do is you put in an equal sign, you put in your magic word that tells it what it is you want it to do, then you tell it where the data are that you want it to consider, and then you press close your parenthesis and press enter. Now what happens if I enter another number? Let's go here to this blank number, and let's put in the number, well, let's put in a ridiculous one. Let's put in 256. Now what should this do to my average? Well, the average should go way up. The skew should go way up. Let's find out what happens. I'll hit enter, and all those numbers change just magically, because it's going to take whatever numbers are in my range and use those numbers. And if those numbers change, these answers will change. That's a very nice thing about Excel, is you can put in your statistical functions and then play around with the numbers, and you can see what they are. I'll remove this and we'll go back to the numbers we had before.